Children's going to be some good movement.
How are you, ladies? How's everything?
How about you?
Good, good. What's going on?
Are we ready?
Yeah. You know, as ready as ever.
It's not going to be bad.
I don't think so. I hopefully don't have anyone signing in on mine. Just the owner I know signed in. His architect, but I don't think it's mine is number 8.
Yeah.
Public hearing number 8. Anybody's? Yeah, K&R, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anybody signed in?
Well, I didn't know if you were with.
That's me.
I think so far I've only seen you.
It's perfect.
I think you're not sick.
That's what we like. Why is there a lot of people?
Yeah.
All right. Let you guys get to work. See you later.
He's only
All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this regularly scheduled town board meeting. For those of you who have never attended a town board meeting before, first we will have public hearings, followed by an administrative calendar. There are meeting agendas available in the rear of the pavilion. If you'd like to be heard on any matter, please obtain a slip in the rear of the pavilion and fill it out with the matter that you'd like to be heard on. After the meeting is adjourned, we will remain in session to hear any residents that would like to address the town board on any other matters. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Supervisor Gillen.
Here.
Councilman Blakeman. Here. Councilman D'Esposito. I'm here. Councilman Dunn. Here. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Here.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Here. Councilman Muscarella.
Yeah.
I now ask Councilman Muscarella to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, before we begin, we'd like to say congratulations to Councilwoman Erin King Sweeney, who ran her first half marathon to promote a worthy cause. So if we just give her a round of applause.
Supervisor, I took the garbage out this morning. Do I get a round of applause?
No. All right, Madam Clerk, will you please call our first public hearing?
Proposed local law regarding regulations and restrictions to limit parking in Belmore.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Councilman D'Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, will you please call our next public hearing?
Proposed local law regarding parking or standing prohibitions in Belmore, Elmont, Levittown, and Seaford.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion? Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed local law regarding arterial stops in Levittown, North Belmore, and Wantagh.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Supervisor, move that the hearing be closed and the item adopted.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Aye. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed handicap parking on public streets in East Atlantic Beach, Elmont, Franklin Square, Levittown, Valley Stream, and Wantagh.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that the item be adopted. I would like to second that.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman D'Esposito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Aye. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Madam Clerk, will you call the next public hearing, please?
To consider the adoption of the Town of Hempstead's 2019 Capital Plan and the 2019 to 2023 Multi-Year Capital Improvement Plan.
I do not have any slips on this public
Supervisor,
hearing.
I'd like to be heard on that.
Sure.
Okay. First of all, I want to thank Supervisor Gillen for putting forth the capital plan. It's a best practices type of scenario where we get to take a look at 5 years going forward with our capital plan. And also, we get to look at what we want to do in the coming years, specifically this year, next year, and it gives us an opportunity without the crunch of budget time to really take a look at what the needs are throughout the town and in our communities. And with respect to this capital plan, I would move to amend the capital plan at this time to increase the spending on road work in the town of Hempstead from $31.5 million to $36.5 million. As I travel through my district, the number one concern that I get is about road repairs and road work, and I have thought long and hard about this. I this morning spoke with our controller, who indicated that it would not have a negative effect on our budgeting or on our bond rating. The levels of interest rates now are at one of their lowest levels. It's 3% now because of our bond rating to go out and borrow. So, Supervisor, I'm going to move to amend to increase by $5 million the road work for 2019.
Mr. Capabianco, I know that you really were intimately involved in preparing the capital plan, so if you would please come forward, I just want to ask some questions. Certainly, I have heard, I echo Mr. Councilman Blakeman's sentiments. I've heard residents loud and clear that fixing our roads and repairing our crumbling infrastructure is a big priority for everyone throughout the town. We have worked on this capital plan being very mindful of that. That's why it was a #1 priority in our plan, but I just want to make sure we have to balance a lot of needs and wants. Our #1 priority was roads. That's where we're making the greatest investment, but to increase this bump, we've been very, very mindful of balancing all our wants with not increasing debt service. So do you feel comfortable that we can make this bump without increasing our debt service?
Would definitely be increasing debt service. You wouldn't have a choice because you're increasing the amount that you're authorizing. However, the sentiment that was just mentioned about the fact that rates are at extreme lows at this time, we are taking advantage of doing more work and paying less in terms of that debt service right now with the additional borrowing. So it is an advantage at this time as long as rates stay where they are, which you can see the Treasury is projecting that for over the next 2 years.
I do see that, and that's why it was very important we started working in December on this plan so we could take advantage of interest rates being low. Councilman Blakeman?
Can I ask Mr. Capabianco a question? Mr. Capabianco, my understanding is that the road work that would be increased for 2019 would commence immediately, but we would not be going out to market until 2020, and then we probably would not have our first payment until 2021. Therefore, it's basically a wash, and it wouldn't have a negative impact on our increased indebtedness. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct.
And I'd like to say, Supervisor, I'm very happy that you proposed this, and I'm very happy that we would be able to add, because I have some streets in my district, especially Uniondale and Roosevelt, and also Lakeview, that really need work. And we cannot wait, until it gets so bad that we have to really go ahead and do the entire street. So I'm very happy, and we did talk to your office, as well as we've spoken to the engineer. This would certainly not cause a problem, and it would really help us so that we can help our residents have better streets. Because that's one of the main problems that I have most of the time when I'm around and in my areas.
Okay, so Mr. Capabianco, you feel comfortable that this is something that we can do without causing a negative impact to the finances of the town?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Capabianco?
I just think that at a 3% interest rate, correct? Is that what we are at now? Crazy not to do it now while it's so low. If we wait till next year or the following year, who knows what the interest rates will be? We should strike while the iron's hot. There are so many roads. We receive calls in my office all the time for similar roads, almost the same roads all the time. Got to get them fixed. This is a no-brainer. I think we all should vote for this. Thank you for your input.
Okay, does anybody else have any other questions for Mr. Capabianco or anyone else? Okay. Did you move on the amendment? Yeah. Okay, Madam Clerk, we are now voting on the amendment to the capital plan.
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
I do not have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? Mr. Capobianco, could you just make room for Ms. Meride? Thank you.
How you doing? Hi. Good, good. Mita J. Meride, Baldwin resident. First of all, I am definitely in favor of this process. It is something that is proactive and something that I, for one, who practically lives at my mechanic in Baldwin for all the repairs that I've had to get because of the roads that I travel on my own time and dime. My concern, again, and it has been duly noted and recorded on a regular basis, is the involvement of businesses that are veteran-owned, minority and women with regard to these projects as we're putting this funding in place, and we continue to kind of lack in that arena. And I stand here a little battle-weary in terms of having to question our county legislators on their own lack of diversity and inclusion and questioning their own procurement outreach and still being very dissatisfied with that. And I continue to challenge this town board with regard to the voices that are not being heard for the diverse businesses and thus the opportunities for work that we claim we're trying to create jobs and create work, and we're not doing that. So we are failing on so many fronts, and we wonder why we have zombie homes and dissatisfied voters and lack of participation. So I'm just putting it out there once again, because I know many of you will be showing up in these same communities for their votes and their support, but we don't see them on the rolls for procurement and contracts, and just putting it on the website and putting it on Newsday, not enough. It's not enough. We're not representing the diversity in language, thought, and idea for this township. For this to be the largest and premier township in the country, we're setting a very bad example. So if we're going to do the plan, then make sure that we plan to include everyone.
Can I just interrupt here? I hate to interrupt you, but Mr. Tooman, Commissioner Tooman, the roads that we're going to be doing, we have already contractors that are doing it. Do we have a mechanism where they have subcontractors? Can we in any way find out if those are veteran-owned businesses, the subcontractors that the contractors are using? Maybe we're already addressing it. I don't know. Let's find out.
What I could say is there is a clause that's in all of our construction contracts for veteran workshop business. I don't want to misdescribe it. I guess the town attorney could actually comment on that. A veteran workshop, a veteran workshop company, if they bid on a contract and they're within 15% of the lowest bid, they would be awarded the contract. Granted, we haven't had that. We haven't had any of those people actually bid, but there is an incentive there for them to do that, and it's quite attractive.
Is there a way we can outreach to those companies that might be able to, that aren't aware of the bid coming up, like posting them at the VFWs and at the American Legions? I know you put it in the paper, but is there a mechanism we can employ?
Yeah, I think that's just marketing through the town. I mean, obviously, it's very specialized work. I don't know how many veteran-owned companies do, road construction. But certainly, I guess there's things.
I see them at the Legion. I see them at the VFW. They belly up to the bar and they talk, baseball. They talk about, because they get away from the business and they, and they're looking for work that they're trying to get. Like Ms. Meride is saying, if we can get them included somehow, even if it's a subcontractor, the contractors we have, if we can entice them somehow to get a subcontractor that's a veteran-owned business. This would really help these guys out, because I see them all the time, and they're saying, how do I get work? How do I get work in town? So,
Yeah, I'd be happy to work with your office on coming up with solutions for that. Like I said, there is this clause in the contract, and I don't think it's being utilized to the degree it should be. Maybe it could be better publicized, and I'd be happy to work with you.
thank you.
There's
Thank you
other
so
ideas
much.
that we can implement.
Thank you.
Mr. Fox, if you would just come up for a minute, you could maybe speak a little bit about the veterans preference that we have in the town.
So I would ask, while he's doing that, if he can talk about minority and women-owned businesses. What is our target currently on our public works projects? 15%?
Well, there's no goal mandated by the town. The money that we have from the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, it's 30%, 15 for women-owned business, 15% for minority-owned businesses. We currently have $60 million in GOZER funding, so that's approximately $10 million that's going towards these minority groups. So we are reaching those goals. Those goals have to be met, otherwise we don't get that funding.
Thank you.
While he's coming, just a point of information, and I know, having known Councilman Dunn for a number of years, the terminology, the generic terminology of those guys, women of color, particularly black women, are the leading military recruits, and they're also the leading startups, but they receive the least in sales receipts. That's nationally. Considering that Long Island has the largest veteran population in New York State, Suffolk County singularly is the largest county as far as veteran population, and Nassau County has upwards of 80,000 veterans on its own. I think, again, it's a disservice to not incorporate that. And while we talk about figures, when you say the minority and women piece, generally it's the W piece. So it's largely white women who are the ones who are meeting the goals. They've had hearings even in the state with regard to the lack of actual true inclusion for the minority and women business enterprise program statewide, because I'm working with the New York State Controller with regard to that. So again, I feel that we need to do something that's a little more structural, as opposed to, okay, we have something on paper and we're doing the same thing as far as outreach, which is nothing.
Thank you. Mr. Fox.
Just to clarify what Doug was talking about, in every contract bid we put out, we offer a number of different benefits. One, for any local-owned business, we give a 5% differential. So every local company that bids on it, we give them some preference, and that one 5%. For every veteran-owned business, we give them a 7.5% preference. They don't have to be a veterans workshop. And then every veterans workshop gets a 15% benefit on that as well. So every time we get a contract, we do look at all those papers on that. Unfortunately, our current system doesn't give us a way of systemically showing what there is there. There's an old COBOL system we're on right now. We're looking at a June 10th, and I shouldn't even say that, June 20th conversion date, which allows us to put down for each one of the vendors what they are. So we can actually quantify, saying, yes, we give 2%, 5%, 10% to women, to veterans. We cannot do this now. It's manual.
Right, I understand.
And I will not.
Right. So again, if you don't have the resources or the information or the demographics, I know my time is up, but if we can get a $150,000 grant from New York State to study the marsh grass on the South Shore, I think we could try to find some money collectively between the town, the county, and the state to actually study the demographics of the situation and the layout for our veterans and our minority and women businesses in New York State. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
I've also, I do have a database of veterans from the VetCom and from talking with yourself as well. And what I do is I go through that list, and I have all the listing of the veterans, what their specialty is, and anytime there is a offering up there for anything that any veteran can get, I send them specifically the bid. It's not just out in the paper, out on the internet. We specifically aim at the veterans on that one.
Right.
And the goal will be to, again, look at minority, women-owned. We do have a number of women-owned businesses, because I see that all the time, but I couldn't tell you exactly the percentage right now.
Right.
But that is one of the ones that we target as well. Unfortunately, we don't have the statistics to hand to you, and we will have it in the future.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a slip from, it looks like Pete Seranaros on this item. I apologize.
My name is Pete Georgios. I'm at 900 Auckland Court, North Belmore. I came in late. I thought you were on item number 4. You're on item number 5?
On item number 5.
Number 5. The only reason that I wanted to speak here is as I have started to get involved with the process of finding out information about some of these capital projects that have been going on, it's very hard to find detailed information and to access the records from the engineering department. I have been complaining about a problem on my street since, I guess, the 80s, on all the administrations since then up until now. Now I retired, so I have a little more time to look into it, and I have tried to find information about the projects and the award of contracts, the actual contract itself. Nobody will give me anything.
So let me just interrupt you for a minute. In terms of contracts, we passed transparency legislation last year. So for the first time ever, you can go online to the Town of Hempstead website, and you can pull up contracts, and you can see all the relevant documents for those contracts.
I looked into this calendar yesterday on my computer. I'm not a techie person, and I have a hard time with it. I could not download the budget. All the capital expenditures that you call on this plan, I could not download anything. It was not available.
Is the capital plan on the website?
That's why I'm looking for a hard copy or something, so I can get and look at it and read it.
It's on the website. The capital plan is on the website.
There is no hard copy I can get?
We could provide you with one. Yeah, we could provide you with one, but it's also available online at the website. But
I understand that.
If you see Avril Smith, can you just raise your hand? She'll give you a copy. Right there, that lady over there, she'll get your address, make sure we mail you a copy of the capital plan.
Okay. You know what it is because basically the thing is, it's a situation where my street floods every time we get substantial rain. I have pictures, I have videos.
Tell us where you live.
I did tell you, I live
In Belmore, right?
Auckland Court in Belmore, 900 Auckland Court. I'm sorry, I'm not used to speaking in the mic.
It's okay.
Like I said, I've been complaining about this problem for years and years, and they tell me they looked into it and they passed it over.
So with respect to the roads, we implemented a new system just this year. In the past, the way we would rate roads in terms of reconstruction, and Commissioner, you can come down and correct me if I misspeak, we would have to rely on field people going out and inspecting roads. But for the first time this year, we employed new technology where we have a truck that actually scans roads, and it helps us do our ratings of how the roads are rated in terms of which is a priority to repair. And the Department of Engineering is right now working on a comprehensive list of all the road ratings and when we will schedule the roads that need to be repaired. Is that accurate, Commissioner?
Yeah, that's accurate. That's for road reconstruction projects. We're going to be putting out a large mill and pave contract that's going to allow us to basically pave a lot more roads than we normally would for the same amount of money. And using that data, we're going to allow it to filter out the roads that kind of fall into that category where they could be milled and paved. But I think what this gentleman's talking about is a drainage issue, so that wouldn't be part of this process, but we are very much aware of it. Unfortunately, it's a very large problem, and it requires a large amount of money, millions of dollars to fix. It's a large drainage issue. Not that we won't fix it, but we need to kind of do it at the right time and balance it against all the other projects we have. So we have a drainage, a comprehensive drainage study that's happening throughout the town, where we're reviewing all of these drainage issues and prioritizing them and coming up with methods to solve each, and we will tackle them. But it is a large $1 million fix, and it's just not something that we can do tomorrow. We need to prioritize it against everything else.
And can you make sure that this gentleman's street is incorporated within that study and that we're looking at this area?
Yeah, 100%. It's part of a drainage issue that I'm very aware of.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Just to let you know, we have spent, you're in my district, and Patrick, Doreen, myself, and Commissioner Tooman sat separately for about 2 hours, and we went over this problem. And this problem has been there for a while, and you really shouldn't have to go through all of this, but it is very expensive. It's not just one road. It's a cluster of roads that have that problem. So like he said, it's going to be very, very expensive to do, and we're trying to find a way to get it done because you shouldn't have to live like that. Exactly. And we're trying to help you. We are trying to help you.
I understand that, and that's what I wanted to say. For the first time, this gentleman and the support people that he's working with, he's actually answering me and we spoke. The engineering department, I have been in contact with Jeff Tierney, and he has informed me about this overall evaluation of the flooding issues in the neighborhood. The problem is that, which I understand, it's not going to be done tomorrow, but you know, when I'm complaining about this problem since the 1980s, nobody has looked into this all these years. I was trying to find out, they did a study on my street last year, and the numbers were very similar with a couple of streets around the corner from me, which they're paving now. I would assume, although I wouldn't know, that they did not want to fix it because, like the gentleman says, it involves a lot more money. Although the state gave $30 million to the Baldwin to do some kind of a storm drain problem, $30 million. And if the engineering department tells me that there's the whole neighborhood that needs to be done, when I have floods in my street and I cannot go down from Manabrook Road and from North Jerusalem Road and I go around, there's no floods anywhere else. Not one more street has any floods in it except mine.
Can I just?
And also,
you did come here late, so
yes.
let me just tell you what we did previous to your coming here. The supervisor increased her budget by $3 million yesterday, and we added another $5 million today for road repair. So hopefully that'll move down another road towards you, closer, hopefully. We'll have to see where you sit on the priority, because there's some really bad roads, and I know yours is bad too, and it was concurred by the commissioner. So I think we're going to see it sooner than later, but I wouldn't say overnight, though.
Oh, no, believe me, I don't expect.
But we did pass, just before you came in, another $5 million in addition to the $3 million. That's $8 million more that we're going to be doing on roadways. Hopefully you're included.
Councilman Dunn, what I'm trying to find out at this point is the details of this thing and the length of the study and how we, and the steps that we go after that. Because
sir,
I can't let it go anymore.
I understand your frustration, but we're here right now and we are committed to trying to address these issues. I'm sorry that it's taken a while, but right now we're here. This is our commissioner, and if you want to share your information with him, we can follow up with you and provide you information as we get more results back in. Is that all right? Does that work for you?
He could reach out to my office, within the next couple of, I would say within the next month, and we'll have some additional answers as to where it is in the study and in the priority list. We could definitely keep them informed as we proceed.
I would appreciate that, and that's what I'm looking for, to be kept in the loop, so I'm not going blind and I'm not frustrated saying nobody's paying attention to this. As a matter of fact, obviously somebody spoke to the engineering firm, NV5,
Yep.
and one of their people, I guess, called me to tell me that for sure they are doing a study in the immediate neighborhood, which to me is an improvement over what I've been getting for the past 30 years.
Well, good. So
But I've been pushing.
Mr. Tuman, will you give this gentleman your card so he can get?
I already
Okay.
have him, but I can't talk to him in the office, only here.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard?
Hello. Hi, my name is Gwendolyn Marie Walker. I was born and raised in Freeport. I'm a 50-year-old woman. I'm a single parent of a 33-year-old, grandmother of 4 going on 5. And the reason I'm here is because my main concern is I live in the town of Freeport. And it seems like I have girlfriends that I went to school with, and they're now caregivers of their parents. And they're filling out Section 8 housing applications all the time. Let me finish.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry. We're talking right now about the capital plan. You will have an opportunity to talk about things other than what's on the agenda at public comment. Did you fill out a card?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you're probably with the public comment.
Okay, no problem.
So if you don't mind, I'll just have you come back. Thank you. Okay, I don't have any other slips on this public hearing, which is on the capital plan. Everybody, if you want to be heard on any matter, please fill out a slip. This way we can move orderly through this. But if you would like to come forward, come ahead.
As far as like planning the road work, my name's Deanna Thompson. I'm from Baldwin, New York. When you do road work, I see that you guys are ready to start, but as someone mentioned earlier, as far as the zombie housing, and there's a request for proposals on that component as well, are the people who are taking care of the road work, are they working with the design, people who are redesigning houses and buildings or businesses to make sure that they don't have to then go back later and redo the roadworks as has happened plenty of times in the past and just waste money?
One of the things that we do in the town is that before we start any road work, we contact the utilities. You're primarily talking about the utility companies, right?
Right.
Yeah, because they are doing a horrible job of patching the work that they do. We try to coordinate with them, and what we do is, and our Commissioner of Engineering can confirm that, we let them know that we're doing a street, so we tell them when we open the street, if you think you've got any work that you need to be done there, now is the time to do it. So they work pretty good together on that.
So are you surveying residents as well, sending them notices of, okay, time to reassess, we're going to be doing road work, so they have time to like have appraisers come to their house, so that way it's not like, okay, well now this person's doing housework or this business is going to do it years later. Is it going to be like matched so everything is getting done and not just having to keep going back and redo the same issue because now another house?
Yeah, but before the work gets done, or it gets started, I should say, before it gets started, notice is given to the residents. Am I right, Commissioner? We give notice.
Yes, we do.
Talking about coordinating sometimes with the utilities in terms of the roads that we're going to reconstruct, so this way we don't reconstruct them and then they're torn up again.
Sure. All the utilities are notified of what is slated and budgeted for in terms of road construction.
And the residents, are they noticed as well?
Yeah, they're notified in advance. So for example, this year, as we put together our 2019 capital and we have all the roads selected, we'll be sending out letters to all the residents that will be affected by that construction within months of before when the actual construction happens.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll on public hearing number 5 as amended?
Supervisor Gillen.
I vote aye, and I said I put forward that I'm glad to have put forward a 5-year capital plan that looks at not only this year's current needs, but also sets a roadmap for our spending going forward. I'd like to thank each and every one of my fellow board members, the Controller's Office, the commissioners, the department heads, and members of my staff, including Averill Smith, for working on this plan together collaboratively. It really was a collaborative effort. And based on the input we received from residents over the last year, the priority was clear, which was more funding for our roads. And we listened to you. The 2019 budget for road reconstruction is $10 million more than last year and more than half of the total capital budget for this year. Over the 5-year plan, about $167 million will be put forward to improve our roads. And this is a significant and much-needed investment for our residents. The 5-year plan also contemplates over $20 million for our parks and over $40 million to protect our water infrastructure. The overall 2019 budget allows us to work on our infrastructure and stay within our goal of borrowing only what we can offset with retiring debt, so that our debt service number does not increase. I'd like to thank the town board once again and everybody who worked collaboratively on this plan. Yes.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Bazito. Aye. Councilman Dunn. Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
I'm very happy to vote on this and adding the extra monies for some of our residents who truly, truly need to have their streets repaired.
Councilwoman.
Yes.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Madam Clerk, please call the next public hearing.
Proposed creation of a new Chapter 43 of the Building Zone Ordinance of the Town of Hempstead to be entitled Transit-Oriented Development and Related Districts for North Lawrence and Inwood.
Supervisor, I would like to add an amendment. I would like at this time to move that we add item 49, a resolution adopting a SEQA negative declaration and determination of non-significance in connection with the proposed creation of new zoning districts and overlay districts in Inwood and North Lawrence, to be heard in conjunction with item 6.
All right, so right now I'm going to have the clerk call the roll, and we'll be voting on public hearing number 6 and administrative calendar item number 49 in conjunction, since they both affect the same parcel. Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito. Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
Aye, and congratulations.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
Okay, so on this public hearing and item 49, first we have John Cameron and Kevin McAndrews.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Supervisor Gillen, fellow town board members. Kevin McAndrew, partner with Cameron Engineering, 177 Crossways Park Drive, Woodbury, New York. Engineers and planning consultants on behalf of the town. On behalf of the entire team, the town attorney's office, the town building department, Councilman Blakeman's staff and office, key stakeholders within the North Lawrence and Inwood communities, as well as the residents' input, it's my privilege to make this presentation on such an important initiative which has been led and guided by the vision of Councilman Blakeman. There are 3 boards which are attempting to be put up on easels at the moment, and my presentation will correlate to these 3 visuals going from left to right. So starting with the...
I think we've seen these, and we also have pass-arounds. Could we turn them around? Continue, but turn
Sure.
them around so the public can see it.
Great idea. So, just hold them up. You could... Yeah. Dave, why don't you just hold them up one at a time? I'm going to start. For context purposes, I think it's important for everybody to understand the boundaries of the study areas and the existing conditions, which really sets the need for this transformative initiative. The project area has 2 distinct boundaries. On the right-hand side of that exhibit that's presently being shown is the North Lawrence Hamlet area. The boundary is defined by a bold purple line. To the bottom of that boundary area, or the south side, is a star. That star is the Lawrence train station. The center of that study area is the primary street corridor, Lawrence Avenue. The Inwood study area is separated through the center of that exhibit by New York State Route 878 Nassau Expressway. The Inwood study area has a bold blue line. In a similar fashion, the star at the bottom of that study area is the Inwood train station. Both of these train stations I mentioned are part of the Long Island Railroad Far Rockaway branch. The center primary street corridor within Inwood is Dowdy Boulevard. Most interesting and compelling here is the land use pattern within each of these study areas. There's sort of a quilt work color, but the dominant color within each of these study areas is purple. And purple is existing industrial and manufacturing land use, approximately 350,000 square feet around each of these respective train stations. What comes with this land use? Heavy truck traffic, higher emissions, noise. This is a land use that is entirely undesirable, not only around a train station, but especially adjacent to the residential communities of both North Lawrence and Inwood. What has happened over time is that this industrial and manufacturing land use has migrated up both of these primary corridors of Lawrence Avenue, the Red Fern area in Inwood, and literally has now occupied residential lots where there's contractors, storage yards, truck traffic. It's a condition that unfortunately has been contributed to the town's decade-old zoning code, which supports this land use and has really inhibited the ability for these communities to transform in the way that they will be able to under the proposed code. The vision to create walkable hamlet centers, each with a distinctive sense of place around the Inwood and Lawrence train stations, with mixed-use development and housing choices in a sustainable approach to improve the quality of life for the Inwood and North Lawrence residents and the surrounding communities. The vision statement has guided key strategies which are integral provisions within the proposed zoning code, and it starts with strengthening community identity through exemplary architecture, streetscape, landscape, and civic open space. This code incorporates regulations with regard to design standards. It includes a provision for an advisory design committee which will administer, again, the exemplary architecture which will be a result of this proposed code. Creating a positive economic environment, a sustainable environment, an environment that has the mixed-use downtown character, ground floor, retail, restaurant, commercial space with residential above. This really serves as a catalyst to live, work, shop, enjoy entertainment in the area, and it really responds to one of the most critical needs and challenges of Long Island, that is attracting and retaining the younger population and senior populations. And what this code does beyond just providing new housing choices is make a bold commitment to affordable workforce housing. This code, where the majority of the housing units will be around the train station within the primary TOD zone, has a mandate of 20% affordable workforce housing at 60% area median income. And just to kind of put that in context, that translates to an annual gross income of approximately $56,000 for a household of two. So this is a code, as I stated, that is making a bold commitment, and it goes beyond just the provisions of the percentage and area median income. It also speaks to a local preference for the residents of the Inwood and North Lawrence hamlet. An important consideration that often comes out of housing is there an impact on schools? The good news is that there's not an impact on schools. It's been proven and shown with many successful TOD projects that very few school-age children are generated with this type of housing.
Let me stop you there. And in effect, if this is built out the way that it's been planned, it'll have a materially positive effect on the school budget in that district, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. And what ties into this very broad and sustainable initiative is such a key, and that is shifting the emphasis from an auto-centric district to a pedestrian-focused district.
Mr. McAndrews, could I just interrupt you for 1 second, since you did mention preferences in the housing? Certainly, I'm very supportive of transit-oriented development. I'm very pleased to see a project like this go forward. I just have a question. We did receive a letter from the Nassau County Planning Commission with respect to the preferences. I just want to make sure that in enacting these preferences, we're not violating the federal fair housing law, and that we're okay with the preferences that we've embraced in this code.
Yes, that is absolutely our coordination that has taken place with the town attorney's office. And I think for clarification purposes, one of the distinct characteristics of this community is the demographic. This community is literally the inverse of the demographic of Nassau County. It's effectively 3/4 minority population, approximately 50% Hispanic, 25% Black African American, and 25% white Caucasian. And what this preference will do is strengthen and maintain the strength of this community and its minority base, and actually hit and head on what is often a displacement result of affordable housing, which was not intended. So we're confident that what we have here speaks exactly to what the community wants.
I have to say, Councilman Blakeman was very strong in his directive to us to make sure that there is strong preference for the local community there, so there would not be the displacement.
I think that's a great thing. I just want to make sure the preferences are legal and comply with federal law.
Well, I'm very happy.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm very, very happy that you stressed that, because most people who live there already cannot afford to go into those luxurious apartments that would probably, everybody wants to put up in neighborhoods where minorities live. So I agree with you, Councilman, that the best thing to do is provide housing for those who are already living there that they can afford to live in.
Yeah, we made a conscious effort to make sure that the nurses, the postal workers, the janitors, the gardeners who live in the area or who have children and work in the area, that they be allowed financially to stay. And that's why we were very aggressive with our affordable component. And in addition, the preferences are to encourage diversity and to keep Inwood and North Lawrence residents in Inwood and North Lawrence and keep the character of the community pretty much as it is. The problem is not in the residential sections of Inwood and North Lawrence. It's around the train stations primarily, where there are warehouses, there are truck terminals, there are factories, and it's created an unsafe environment after dark where it becomes a ghost town. Pretty much the residential communities will not be affected. The primary areas that will be affected are industrial types of uses that are incompatible and inconsistent with the train stations and all they have to offer as far as getting people out of their cars, having a place where our young people and our senior citizens can stay in and want to be part of this community. We've had a tremendous amount of them moving out, and we don't want to displace Inwood and North Lawrence residents. We want to encourage them to stay in the community. So we looked at the legality of the preferences, and we feel comfortable that we would prevail. The fair housing issue typically is where you're trying to exclude the community, and as Councilwoman Gooseby said, trying to exclude minorities. We're trying to encourage that at least 20% of these units are affordable and for people who live in the community.
I agree with you 100% because that is what is happening, and I really support you 100% with this.
And the contrary, what's happened in some communities where there's been fair housing lawsuits is where it's been fairly exclusively white communities where there's been given local preferences which would exclude minority communities. That is absolutely the opposite of what's happening here.
So to summarize, would you just go down a checklist of the studies that you did, and then we'd like to hear from the public.
Sure. Over the past 12 months, there's been rigorous, comprehensive engineering, planning studies, comprehensive traffic studies, economic studies, affordable housing research and study. There's been real estate impact studies. All of these studies were performed concurrent with the formulation of the code that is before you. The code went through an evolution where there was key stakeholder input. The code ultimately that is before you is supported with what is referred to as an expanded environmental assessment form and report. This report is in compliance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act. Part of that documentation is the preparation of a negative declaration which demonstrates that this initiative will result in numerous positive benefits and demonstrates that there will not be adverse impact introduced as a result of this code being adopted.
Thank you, Kevin. And just to reiterate, there was a meeting with key stakeholders that included the fire departments, the police department, the Long Island Railroad MTA, Nice Bus, the Lawrence School District, the Village of Lawrence, the Village of Cedarhurst, the Inwood Civic Association, and a variety of other groups that were invited and did in fact attend the key stakeholders meeting. And then about a week later, there was another meeting where notices were given by mail, and approximately 200 people showed up at that meeting where this all was unveiled. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I think we should move on.
If I may, I would like to just state that what the town is doing here, the town is not serving as the developer. They're also not mandating a type of development. What they're doing is, through the enactment of this overlay zone and TOD district, is they're facilitating economic development for the betterment of the community. They're incentivizing it. There's density being provided and accessed near the train station to facilitate the investment, private capital, so that there can be the funds available to create affordable housing. Just to create affordable housing, we need to incentivize private investment. That's what the town has done here with the enactment of this.
And I'd like to just conclude by recognizing Councilman Blakeman. He has been the strongest advocate for the formulation of a smart growth code, and all along the way has pushed us to set the bar higher, to have the most progressive and sustainable code that brings the town forward and really sets the stage as a model code for other areas within the town as well as on Long Island.
Well, I happen to know the area very well. I'm over there. There are members of churches that are members of come back and forth at my church, so I'm very much aware. So I'm just so happy to hear that this is your formulation, because it's really going to make it better for many of the people who live there. They're not happy the way it is now. So this is going to make it so much better, and the fact is there will be some affordability for the people who live there, not like where I live, where people is trying to come in and put up luxurious apartments and get rid of the people who live there. So I've got to have him come up to my area to help me too.
Thank you, Senior Councilwoman.
So this project can,
All right, John,
can only, if I may.
You're going to lose her vote if you keep
not
talking.
Gonna lose it. Not going to lose it.
Let's get the public.
To say, not only can this serve as a model for other areas in the town of Hempstead, but it serves as a model for Long Island.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I have another number of slips of people who want to be heard on this. Bobby Chawla, sorry.
Good afternoon. My name is Bobby Chawla. Pretty much born and raised in Lawrence. Basically, I know this area extremely well. It's always been underutilized, desolate, quite frankly, dangerous after hours. So super excited to see this initiative go through, to see what this area can become. We've seen areas like Patchogue, Farmingdale, Rockville Center become areas that nobody cared about to one of the most important in Long Island. So really looking forward to it. Thank you to Councilman Blakeman for finally making this change happen. Yeah, just wanted to keep it short and sweet, so I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Frank Megarol.
My name is Frank Megarol, a Colonial resident in my 85th year. Came home born in the hospital. We're right on the city line there, Far Rockaway, Queens. Came home, never left my block. It's been there all 85 years. I thank Councilman Blakeman for his interest in this project, and I'm not here to oppose, but I do want to urge that you proceed with caution. It's a very unique community. It's called the Five Towns, but it's really 4 towns in one: Hewlett, Woodmere, Cedarhurst, Lawrence, Inwood. There is a difference, and we enjoy living there. Some people can't believe that, you know, because they look at it and it doesn't compare to the, first of all, we're surrounded. We got Lawrence to the north, to the south, the village, incorporated village of Lawrence, and the village of Cedarhurst to the east. Jamaica Bay surrounds the rest of the town, essentially. We're an island, so we have to be careful. It's when it looks good on paper. I think it's cost us something like $364. I read in the paper the other day, the planning has cost $364,000. So that should be, but there's certain things happen in Inwood that, because we are as we are on this the Long Island Railroad separates us from the other communities. But we do have people that their livelihood, you know, is, first of all, the gardeners. For years, the gardeners. They're not welcome in Lawrence. They're not welcome in Cedarhurst. We welcome them in the Inwood community. We have industrial properties and commercial. Is that my phone? Sorry about that. But anyhow, there's about 200 gardening trucks roll out of Inwood every day during the season to maintain and manicure the lawns and properties of the 5 towns, the Rockaway Peninsula, and beyond. So, in a sense, we don't want to shake that situation up if it can be handled properly, but we don't want to shake it up. Those people are dependent on it for their livelihood.
Yeah, Roy, if I might, and I know you as Roy for many years.
Yeah, that's what I go by.
That's your given name, but Frank is your legal name. I didn't know that to this day, and I've known you for almost 30 years. Roy, basically, one of the things that we're anticipating that this will do in a material way is create jobs for the community. And when you talk about gardening, there will be streetscapes and pocket parks that will be part of this, which will create more work for the local gardeners. And this project is not going so deep into Inwood that it's affecting the homes, where I know that a lot of gardeners, they pretty much operate out of their trucks and they have their little businesses. This should not affect them in a negative way. It should affect them in a positive way.
Okay, there's different items. Safety. Some people, just because it's poor looking, I don't think the crime rate, the 4th precinct, I think can supply records. I can't at the moment. But it's a very safe community. It's very safe. If there's going to be trouble, maybe our residents go elsewhere and cause it, you know.
Yeah, and Roy, the issue is that the Inwood Railroad Station and the Lawrence Railroad Station are being underutilized because they're surrounded by industry, and after dark, there's nobody there. There's no community. So people are using the Cedarhurst Railroad Station as their first option rather than Lawrence and Inwood, and this will change that. People will feel safe going to the Inwood Railroad Station and the railroad station in North Lawrence, because now there'll be a viable community, there'll be people around. It'll be a community rather than a ghost town, as I said, after dark.
I don't know whether that's totally true. Inwood is on the other side of the tracks, as I say, immediately on the other. It's called the Inwood Station, but the other side is the village of Lawrence. And in Lawrence, the other side of it's Lawrence, but the other side is
North Lawrence.
North Lawrence.
Right. Okay.
And then that's a nice residential area. It's got some, you know, ugliness to it, but I just say proceed. Certain things have happened in Inwood, like they had a water tank a few years ago, a major water supplier for the whole area, including Atlantic Beach, you know. And we argued over that. We wanted to put in Lawrence. They had a big vacant site. Oh, they didn't want it there. They put it in Inwood.
Mr. Meserola, I'm sorry, but your time is up, so we have to wrap up your comments. But if you have other concerns, Mr. Cameron is right behind you. I'm sure he'd be happy to listen to some of the concerns that you have, and we can make sure that you're included as this process goes on.
Appreciate the opportunity, but proceed with caution.
Thank you, Roy.
You have a good life there, and just because money's, I don't know where you're going to get the money from to. And the other thing, I just want to add, 5-story apartments. We don't want that. Why should we have 5-story apartments when the rest of them have 2-story garden apartments?
Okay, you could just speak with Mr. Cameron. He's right behind you, all right?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Roy.
Next, we have Isaiah Moultrie, sorry.
Good afternoon. I just want to start by thanking Councilman Blakeman.
If you could just state your name and address for the record, please.
Isaiah Moultrie, 216 Cedar Avenue, Hewlett, New York. I've spoken with Councilman Blakeman about this issue for years. I'm so thankful that he has took the effort to put this forth, because Inwood is desperate. We own several properties in the area. It's desperately in need of new housing, and I just want to say thank you, Councilman Blakeman, for taking the time to do this and the effort you put into it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Paul Fink.
Good morning, Ms. Supervisor and Town Board members. My name is Paul Fink. I'm the Special Projects Advisor for Community Development Corporation of Long Island. I'm speaking on behalf of our President and CEO, Gwen O'Shea, who is unfortunately not able to attend today. CDCLI is a regional nonprofit that was founded 50 years ago to address growing demand for affordable housing on Long Island. We are a national and regional leader in community development, working to revitalize and build strong communities, and we serve both Nassau, Suffolk, and a portion of Brooklyn, and we provide a variety of programs to help with dynamic challenges in these areas, including home ownership, rental housing assistance, real estate development, home improvement, clean energy, multifamily development, lending, and affordable housing technical assistance. While we have played a role for many years in these areas, the housing needs on Long Island are still great. 30% of Nassau County residents lack sufficient income and resources for housing, food, childcare, transportation, etc. Families are considered to be rental cost burden, housing cost burden, when they have to pay more than 30% of their incomes, their gross incomes towards housing, and about half of all Nassau County residents do have to pay that. In addition, as of the fourth quarter of 2018, the median sales price of homes was $520,000 in Nassau County, which is far out of reach for the median family income of $93,000, and that a family earning the median can only afford a mortgage of about $240,000. Lastly, on statistics, there is a staggering and increasing gap in housing affordability. Nassau County residents currently earn 42% more than they did in 2000, but home values have increased by $86,000 in the same time period. So housing doubled while incomes went up less than half. In partnership with private developers, CDCLI has participated in the development of more than 1,800 affordable multifamily apartments on Long Island, and we have about 400 currently in the pipeline. Most of these developments are located in higher density community centers, such as the area we're talking about here. This provides residents convenience to shopping, healthcare, transportation, and employment. It also helps to support downtown revitalization, minimizes impacts to neighborhood streets, and provides additional revenues to local businesses. CDCLI supports the concepts in the Inwood and North Lawrence zoning initiative as consistent with smart growth, neighborhood revitalization, and transit-oriented development principles. It will help bring back vibrancy to the downtown areas. We would be happy to help in any way with the design of this project from concept to implementation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. Eric Alexander.
All right, Supervisor, members of the Town Board, my name is Eric Alexander, Director of Vision Long Island. Definitely pleased to see the town move forward with a new code for Inwood and Lawrence as far as a transit-oriented development direction. We certainly praise Councilman Blakeman for his leadership in working with his local community. We've spoken to members of ours who are in those local communities, and we've received positive feedback. There have been community meetings, multiple community meetings, and really from the bottom up, and that's how you should do these types of plans. And I know many of you on this board know this and are doing this in other communities that you're working in. In reviewing the plans, there are what's unique and excellent about this plan in particular, there are a range of housing options, particularly some of the townhome options that will activate land around the train station and further north. That also creating 20% affordable units is higher than usually the minimum threshold of 10%. We're glad to see that. We're glad to see a focus on trying to keep people in the community. That's very positive. So also the car light concept, the reduction of vehicle miles travels to get people to stay in the community and use their car less. That is certainly a green aspect to where we're all headed ultimately. The plan, as we see it, is radically tax positive. When you look at the school kids that go into multifamily units, it's 3 per 100 on average in Long Island's transit-oriented developments. So it's a minimal impact to the school district and very positive impact to your tax base. Redeveloping the area, the retail, the commercial. We also add in Cedarhurst, they have some of the U office, the small office, the WeWork models. There are opportunities to have transit-oriented office space as well to weave in. Creating a walkable and safe area for the neighbors. 4 things that I want to just tweaks in the code that we did see. There are some green building standards that may be a little aggressive, particularly if we see prevailing wage legislation passed that make the cost to build a bit too much in this setting. So that's 1. 2, keep the architecture local. I know you've got a board that'll work on that, but just trying to keep the design styles as local as possible. 3, rear alley loading and having the garages in the rear versus in the front is generally preferable in a transit-oriented format. And number 4, if there's a way to remove minimum lot sizes so you can have some varied types of development within the code. Overall, we're just really happy to see Inwood and Lawrence now be part of the 40 communities on Long Island that are doing community-based downtown transit-oriented development. We've seen, 13,000 units approved over the last 12 years. We're very excited about that, and there's a lot of lessons learned, but I think you're in a place where you're learning those, and you look forward to move forward with this plan. So kudos to the town of Hempstead. Thank you.
First of all, thank you for your comments. We will take them into consideration. This is just the first step. It's going to be tweaked along the way, so we will take your comments into consideration and see if it can be tweaked going forward. Thanks so much.
And Eric, thank you for coming. I think you must have slept over last night at the town of Hempstead. I want to thank you for your comments on this and all your incredible work on in downtown Baldwin as we develop an overlay zone there. I think slowly the town of Hempstead is approaching the 21st century, and I think that we can use what's happening in Inwood and Baldwin as an impetus for us to look at the entire code and to update it and bring more transit-oriented development throughout the town of Hempstead. So thank you for your efforts in this.
And just last point I make, Long Island's a community of communities, and every community has a almost different set of economics, design styles they want to see, different scales of buildings, and local folks want to plan their communities their way almost, and I think you're doing that. You're providing that opportunity here in the town of Hempstead. That's great. Many villages across Long Island do that. So there's no one way to do this, but I think you're tailoring it to each community, and that's the way to go. And I know Councilwoman Goosby's talked to me about that many times, and that's
so you can
important
come
message.
now. You can come over to Village Hempstead. We need you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Thanks, Eric.
James McHugh.
Chief, I just want to start off by thank you for your service to the community. Appreciate it.
My name is James McHugh. I live at 204 Oakwood Avenue, Cedarhurst, New York. I'm here representing the Lawrence Cedarhurst Fire Department. I'm the chief of department. This project is going to be very helpful to the fire department with housing for younger members. It's very, very hard to retain members as home prices in Lawrence and Cedarhurst are very expensive. My organization, we fully support this, and we thank the town of Hempstead for helping us help you. Thank you, Bruce, for reaching out and always being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Yehuda Kamenetsky? Kamenetsky.
You know his father, Mordecai.
Yes.
Hi, it's an honor for me to be here. I moved back to...
You could just, I'm sorry, state your name and address for the record, please.
Yehuda Kamenetsky, 2 Meadow Road, Inwood. I lived in St. Louis for the past 10 years. About a year and a half ago, I wanted to move back to where I grew up, and we chose Inwood. The area in which we live is young, it's vibrant, safe for our children. But we have some family members in Far Rockaway, and we walk along Dowdy. The area in which we're talking about can be, you know, a bit dirty, unsafe, and I believe that with the housing, it would bring in more vibrancy and life into the community, and I fully support this initiative and welcome it greatly.
And Yehuda, I just wanted to say, I know your dad, Rabbi Mordecai Kamenetsky from Yeshiva South Shore, who's a good friend, and of course I understand this is the anniversary, yahrzeit, of your grandfather, who really was one of the top people in the community for years and years, Benjamin Kamenetsky. So thank you for coming today.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Avi Roden.
Hi, my name is Al Roden, 955 Cranford. I'm fortunate before I go to work, I study in the Inwood community, and I drive by every morning. And, you know, having this type of a project is extremely forward and could really benefit the community. And I study by my school that I've lived, you know, been there for many years. So I'm for it, and I know the hour's late, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Chief Peter Curcio.
Chief, thank you for your service as well.
Welcome. Good morning. I represent the Inwood Fire Department. I'm a lifelong Inwood resident, and I've been serving the department for over 13 years. My department wants to thank Councilman Bruce Blakeman for personally involving us in this project, allowing us to plan for the future of Inwood. We thank you kindly and very much for your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Edwin Rosale. Edwin. David Hankel. Sorry, Hens.
Good morning, everybody. Councilman.
Good morning. If you just state your name and address for the record, please.
David Hance, 17 Meadow Road, Inwood, New York. And once again, Supervisor, Town Board, thank you all for taking this up and giving it the time it needs. I not only live in Inwood, but I'm the president of the Inwood Civic Association. Although today I am here speaking as David Hance, I can tell you we support this project. We are very excited about this project for many, many reasons. There's a lot of blight in Inwood, and I think this can really take us to the 21st century. Development, bring in new life, as someone mentioned. I live in Inwood, but yet there are no restaurants. There are no bakeries. We have Chinese restaurants, we have delis, and they're awesome. But it would be nice to have nice retail operations and enough people to support these operations were they to come. I really, really think that the people who have lived in Inwood for so many years, their time has come. Although any development comes with pros and cons, I applaud the town for ensuring that members will not be displaced. The community, there'll be a home for anybody living there now. They have a great shot at getting a place. I would also ask that during any of the construction, although I know it's hard, it's private funding, if there could be an emphasis on hiring local Inwood, North Lawrence residents, you know, as part of the construction. And I know that's a tough thing to do, but if it could be mentioned, it would be great, because we have some fine young people in the community of all walks in life that could use the work. I would also ask, moving forward, and Bruce brought it to his attention, and he got the MTA person in charge back to us, the two train stations, both Inwood and Lawrence, really need a facelift. So if you're going to bring this in, I think it's important that those two train stations be upgraded, something. They just look concrete eyesores, not friendly. Children walk by, it's just not something like wow. So again, there's so much to say, but I'm out of time. I thank you, and I'm looking forward to this.
Thanks for coming, and we've been assured by the MTA that when development starts, they will reconfigure and renew and beautify those train stations. The reason they haven't done it up to this point, they were underutilized. Now that they're going to be utilized, they'll make them as nice as the other communities, and they're an eyesore, those two railroad stations. So thank you for bringing that to our attention, and we'll stay on the MTA to make sure that they spend the money there.
Thank you again.
Thank you. Moshe Katz.
Hi, my name is Moshe Katz. I live at 171 Davis Avenue in Inwood. I live there with my 6 children. I work in Inwood at the Yeshiva Katana of Long Island. My children go to school in Inwood. My wife works at the Ocean School in Far Rockaway. We are heavily invested in the area, and we love it there. It's a family-friendly area. It's beautiful, and it's a place where I want my children to live as well. The problems, as just to reiterate what has been said earlier, is that the two areas that have been discussed, which my wife walks sometimes to work, so she passes by the Inwood train station, and you can ask her and her friends and the neighbors around there who it's not a comfortable place to walk, especially at night at the end of the day. Even during the day, it's not such a great place to walk by. I know I walk with my children past the North Lawrence station, and it's also uncomfortable walking by there. I know the woman who babysits my children she goes to church. She lives right next door to me, and she goes to church on Wanzer over there. And then she walks down to Central to the bank, Wells Fargo, and every time she passes that area by the bus depot over there, she said she clutches her purse and she gets very nervous. So this is something that I think is going to be so welcomed by the people in the broader community. I know that when the idea was mentioned initially, we have a lot of friends who live on Bayview Avenue, and they were nervous about trucks barreling down, as it is now, trucks barreling down. People have said that they're afraid to keep their children on the sidewalks because they feel like people are just barreling down to those areas, which don't really belong in a residential area in the first place. So I am very grateful to Councilman Blakeman for being so forward-thinking and really creating a place that will be beautiful, that will be a place where my children will be able to stay. I know that in the Yeshiva Katana, we have teachers who drive in from New Jersey, and they are looking for places to live, and there's just not enough housing. So this is going to be something that will be fantastic. We'll have a place where hardworking people will be able to live, and educators, and public service people, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Next, we have Mita Meraday.
Yes, hi. Just to, I guess, echo all of the earlier sentiments, but on a more personal, specialized note, I am definitely in support of this, and I believe that this definitely is a model that we can replicate throughout the township, and it's definitely needed. I salute Councilman Blakeman for this initiative, and during the discussions and planning for this, I have been in touch with him and his office, and I also want to recognize Debbie Puglisi from your office for her hard work with regard to that effort.
Thank you. And Debbie's only going to be with me a couple more days because she's transitioning to become the Deputy Commissioner of our Senior Enrichment Program. So I'm going to miss her, you're going to miss her, but she'll be helping out our seniors. So thank you, Mita, for your support.
And I look forward to working with her on that. We've already gotten started with some discussions.
I'm sure you have.
Yes. You know, I don't miss a beat. But also with regard to this, as far as the housing issue, I do encourage that you and your office, that you work with Paul from the CDC to get that plan in place, because I think that type of alliance is something that could be very beneficial for residents who can look for the support and the resources to get into the facility. Also, with regard to the overlay amendment, I'm fully in support of that. I would just hope that it has some flexibility with regard to other projects that are on tap in that community of Inwood that are outside of the TOD area. So I'm just hoping that it is not so locked in that we cannot look for some flexibility with regard to that scenario, because again, it does model the process that is taking place in Baldwin. And I was at the scoping meeting last night. I'm beginning to see the supervisor and Councilwoman Erin King Sweeney all over the place, which is a good thing, because it is letting the community know that our elected officials do care about what is going on and the conditions that so many residents whose voices have been long unheard are dealing with, as I know Senior Councilwoman Gooseby can attest to that. So we are looking forward to that. And lastly, the fact that you are inclusive of our diverse veteran population, being at the meeting that you had in Lawrence, that I was in attendance, definitely standing room only, and I know that you are hearing the voices of your community, and that's always appreciated, and we continue to look forward to working with you to address those issues as it pertains to providing housing and keeping our first responders, our veterans, our young people, and our communities of color in place where they can feel safe and secure as well. And a point that was made earlier with regard to, as far as the road work and getting involved, we need to really better track what the utilities are doing, because they are tearing up the work that our tax dollars are paying for. So we need to monitor that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meriday. Craig Pio.
Hi, good afternoon. Councilman Blakeman, I thank you so much for all your efforts.
I'm sorry, could you just state your name and address for the record?
Craig Pio, 482 Ross Place in Oceanside. But I do work in Inwood every day. I'm one of the owners of Meserole Funeral Home, and I have other properties along Dowdy Boulevard. So we're looking forward to this development. I'd love to have restaurants and other stuff going on in our neighborhood. And just briefly, I've only been working there since 2013, but I do try to stay involved with the community. It's a great community. Dave Hance is my partner in some other projects, and we're really looking forward to this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Pyle. Okay, I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard? If you just state your name and address.
I am. Give me a moment. My name is Miss Gwendolyn Marie Walker. I was born and raised in Freeport, New York. I have spent over 50 years in Freeport. I am a single parent of a child with sickle cell thalassemia. I had him at the age of 16. I wish I had him now. I would have been on the Teen Mom show. It has the money. But besides that, anyway, my point is, and what I'm concerned about, is that I have girlfriends that I went to school with that now are caregivers of their parents, are now it's becoming hard nowadays to take care of your parents and take care of a house. And we're taking over what our parents left behind and trying to keep a hold of what they have, their homes, their properties, whatever they have to leave for us for the next generation. And my problem is that I'm stating, sometime in September, I went to a Section 8 housing opening, and I stood online all day in Westbury at the Senior Citizen Building in Newcastle. And what really concerns me, what puzzles me, is that this is 2019, of May the 7th, right? Now, this is the age where we have modern technology. Nothing is really done by paperwork anymore. And what concerns me is that every year they always have Section 8 housing opening in Hempstead, in Roosevelt, whatever. But what I'm hearing from everyone where I live at, there's nothing. They're not getting any callbacks. They're not getting any returns. No one's answering them, and they have 15, 20 years of keep on filling out applications. And what kills me is that someone said something very interesting 2 weeks to me ago. When you fill out paperwork, even for a job on paperwork, they only keep it 3 days. And then after 3 days, it's shredded and thrown in the garbage. They always give you the brush off, but nicely, by saying, oh, we'll call you, we keep it on file. They keep it in the pile, and then it goes in the garbage. Okay? I wonder if they're doing the same thing with the Section 8 housing applications on paper. And like my father, Mr. David Walker Jr. would say, if you find something funny, look it up. And someone needs to look it up and see what's going on, because there's too many Black and Latinos that need housing, that are living in homeless shelters right here in Hempstead. And some of them with their children, after being in a homeless shelter for 5 years, they have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning. No matter if it's rain, sleet, or snow. They're not the postman. They have a baby, but they have to hit the street and stay in the street because the shelter is closed until they open up later on. And they don't care, they don't give a rat's behind where they put their kids. They said, well, ma'am, you could come back when it's time for you to come back. That's not right. So someone, whoever's in charge of the housing situation, Section 8, needs to look into it and do something about it. That's what my father would have did. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your concerns. We do provide some Section 8 vouchers. We'd be happy to make sure that if that's where people are having problems, that we correct that on our end within the town of Hempstead. We also are doing a housing study because we know that there is a real crisis in affordable housing in Hempstead. So we're going to be looking at that across the town of Hempstead, and we're going to be reaching out to the community to get your impact as we move forward in that study to really hear. Thank you for sharing your concerns. But right now, really, we're focusing on this transit-oriented development. That's what this hearing right now is for. That doesn't mean that we're not going to take your comments into regard just on a broader scale. But right now, we're just hearing on public hearing number 6 and item number 49, which relates to this transit-oriented development in InView. Okay.
Another point. My mother.
I'm so sorry, but
nursing home for 32
yes.
years. And my mother worked as a nurse's aide there. And she worked 20 years as Hempstead General. And me being her daughter that worked at the age of 14 at Penny Savers and worked 29 years working 2 jobs, taking care of a child by myself, without any public assistance, without child support, without a man helping me. Now, I have the right to say what I want to say because this is the town that I grew up in. And I see so much impoverished people and people suffering every day.
Ma'am, you absolutely have a right to say what you say. And that's
miss-
what we usually hear in public comment.
Yes, and also not to take it in consideration. It needs to be looked into. It needs to be an open investigation. And I'm not going to shut my mouth until it's done. Thank you. Have a good day. God bless.
Thank you. Yes. Ma'am, if you have some facts about anybody who came for a voucher here, you can see Rebecca Sinclair. Where is she? Oh, you can see Adam Haber and let him know what your complaints are, and we're going to look into that, okay? Do you see this gentleman right over there? Raise your hand, Adam. He'll look into it for you, okay? All right? And you absolutely have a right to speak. We're just doing this hearing. Absolutely. But that's why we do a public hearing at the end. You absolutely have a right to be heard. Absolutely. Thank you, ma'am. Please just speak to Mr. Haber about that. Thank you. Okay, so first we're going to have a vote on item number 49.
Supervisor, I move that the public hearing be closed and that we adopt item 49.
Ma'am, right now we're just voting on Inwood. You absolutely have a right to speak, but right now we're just talking about the vote on Inwood. So we have public hearings, and you want to speak on Inwood? Okay.
What? Well, we have to finish this vote, Supervisor. We're in the midst of it.
No, but I have to let her speak on Inwood.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Quintina Tenney, and I'm from the town of Hempstead. First, I would like to say thank you to Ms. Goolsby and Paulette from your office. Thank you, Ms. Jillian and Ms. Sinclair from your office. And thank you, Ms. Sweeney and Mr. Lampkin from your office. But I just wanted to say I spoke with a gentleman here from, I forgot, yeah, Cameron Engineering. And I would like to see housing opportunities like this brought into Hempstead, Roosevelt, Freeport, and also as the gentleman who spoke from CDC, we would definitely love and appreciate opportunities from the CDC as well. So I don't live in Inwood, but I do support it.
Thank you.
Let me
Thank you
make a
very much.
statement.
I'm sorry.
There are many, we don't have any more affordable houses in the village of Hempstead.
None.
No, I know, because they're all occupied. And we don't have any more in Roosevelt. We don't have any more in Union, because you know why? Not in my backyard. These are the only places they're being built. So I'm grateful that he's doing this where he is at Inwood.
And
the other towns don't do it. Okay, so you know there's a problem with that.
And I was saving that for my public comment, but I would definitely like to see the other districts do their jobs as America is doing their jobs with, migrants coming from other countries. I would like to see the districts doing their job with us, working together collectively and providing housing. Because I've been out there speaking to women and children. I've been trying to get them to come to the meeting today, listening to women cry, just in shelters, paying to be in shelters. I mean, it's like, they're paying $2,000-3,000 a month for a shelter stay. Why can't that be given to them for housing? Give their family some sort of normalcy. Everybody else is coming over here for a dream and normalcy, but yet and still, we have women and children here already in shelters, crying every day. I've seen it. I lived it. I actually went out and handed out 1,500 flyers trying to get people to come to this meeting, and I would definitely like to see the other districts reach out, and invite help. You just have to see what I've seen and experience what I've experienced. And also, as far as like the gentleman here, I keep forgetting from Cameron and the gentleman from CDC. I think it's a great idea, but we need more than just 20%. 20% of the building of the units for affordable housing. I guess it would be, something different in Roosevelt and Freeport and Hempstead, being that, we are lower income communities. That's it, so I'll just wait. But thank you, Ms. Goolsby, Ms. Jillian, and Ms. Sweeney. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. And we hear you, and we want you to be part of the process as we move forward in our housing study, and to hear your feedback on affordability issues so that we can make sure that we serve the community.
Okay,
Thank you. Okay, do you want to make your motion again? First, we're going to be moving on item number 49.
I second the motion.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Pasito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney? Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. Supervisor, I now move that we close the public hearing with respect to item 6 and that we adopt the new zoning code for Inwood and North Lawrence.
I second the motion.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Pasito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney? Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Madam Clerk, will you call the next public hearing, please?
Application of Alfalfa Cargo LLC for a special exception public garage to renovate the existing one-story 7,923-foot building and add 1,837 feet 137 feet addition as a service drive entrance and exit to serve as an automotive service and repair facility with related offices, premises located at 795 Merrick Avenue near Westbury.
I make a motion. I move we call item 35 a resolution adopting a CEQA negative declaration and determination of non-significance in connections with a car dealership on Merrick Road and Corporate Drive to be heard in conjunction with item 7.
Second.
Okay, just to be clear, what we're moving, the motion is now to hear item 35 in conjunction with public hearing number 7. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Aye. Councilman Diaz-Pasito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye. Yeah. Oh, Avenue, okay. Oh, what was that? Oh, for the record, it's Corporate Avenue. No, Merrick Avenue. Oh, Merrick Avenue and Corporate Drive.
Thank you.
Good
Gentlemen.
afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Garrett Gray, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Millville, New York, for the applicant. I'm afraid it won't be as interesting or exciting as the last hearing, but I'll do my best to go a lot faster. The petitioner, Alfalfa Carco, is a limited liability company and contract vendee of the premises hereinafter described. With me today is Randy Sporn, who, together with his brother Joel Sporn, are the managing members of the petitioner. The petitioner also owns and operates Westbury Alfa Romeo, which is a new car dealership located at 928 Jericho Turnpike in Huntington. Westbury. Did I say that? All right, we're off to a good start. The petitioner intends to use the subject premises as an automobile service and repair facility. As proposed, the premises fully complies with all dimensional zoning requirements. Furthermore, the petitioner is providing 70 parking spaces where 24 parking spaces are required. Petitioner's auto dealership currently operates the repair and service center for Westbury, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, Fiat, and Alfa Romeo at 111 Bond Street in Westbury, and their sales and showroom location will remain in Westbury at 928 Jericho Turnpike. The proposed premises will serve as a new location for Westbury Alfa Romeo customer vehicle repairs and service. The service facility located at 111 Bond Street will continue to operate and as an additional vehicle service and repair facility. The petitioner is proposing to renovate the existing one-story, 7,923 square foot building and add an 1,837 square foot addition as a service drive entrance and exit to serve as an automotive repair and service facility with related offices. The proposed facility will be centrally located on the property. It will house 12 service bays for vehicle repairs and service. Importantly, no automotive body repair or automotive spray painting will occur anywhere on the premises. All repair and service work will be performed within the building on the premises. No work will occur in the yards of the premises. The petitioner intends to employ 10 employees at the service and repair facility. It will be open from 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday and will be closed on Sundays. The proposed use of the premises will cause no adverse effect upon either the character of the community or the use and enjoyment of neighboring properties in the surrounding area. Traffic to and from the proposed auto repair facility will be dramatically lower than the prior use, which was a Bertucci's restaurant, for those of you who recall. And the hours of operation will be less than Bertucci's as well. The premises is properly situated for a use such as the one requested, as it is in keeping with the pattern of development already existing in the area. The relief requested and proposed use of the premises is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the Town of Hempstead Building Zone Ordinance and will promote the general public health, safety, and welfare. Finally, we are aware that the Nassau County Planning Commission issued an LD and also issued a comment that automobile facilities tend to proliferate along streets where they're located. While that is true for automobile dealerships, it is not true for automobile service and repair facilities such as this. Again, if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them, and Mr. Sporn is here to answer any questions as well.
I have one question. In reference to the service center, do you have tow trucks that will take cars to the premises? Do you pick up the Alfa Romeos?
Hopefully no cars would ever be towed in, but that's unlikely.
Okay, good. All right, good.
No, we do not own a tow truck. We don't operate a tow truck. They're supplied by the factory. If a customer's car breaks down, they're instructed to call roadside assistance. We also work in conjunction with a local body shop and tow company, and they have preferential treatment, so they'll call our preferred tow company and they'll go get their cars and towed in.
Councilman, I'd like to just make a comment. As someone who I inherited from my father, had a love for cars, all different cars, variety of cars and everything else. I'm just glad that Alfa Romeo is back in the United States, that they're investing in our country, and that they are bringing those cars that are different than the cookie-cutter cars that are available, and giving American consumers choices. So I'm a big fan of Alfa Romeo coming back to the United States, and I'm glad they're in our community.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. I'd just like to add to that Alfa Romeo is a U.S. company through Chrysler Fiat, and I'm very happy to see the Maserati engine and all that Italian design back in our country.
Yeah, it's what's great about this country, the choice, and we're finding out that the customers who are buying Alphas, and right now they're successful, there's a passion. There is a choice. There are choices in every different price category of cars, trucks, SUVs, and it's offering the public another choice. And the people who come in are just very excited about a new option to go with that entry luxury vehicle. So we're excited as well. And the reason we're doing this is we are selling more cars. Our existing Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram truck facility, which is also pretty successful, we just don't have enough room there. And we also want to offer the Alfa Romeo customer a better experience where they're differentiated. They're not the normal customer servicing at a plain old car dealer. We're giving them their own.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
I don't have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anybody who'd like to be, or on this application, is there anyone who'd like to be heard?
Close it out.
Mita Maraday. I'm all in favor, definitely, of commerce and industry. I'm just curious with regard to the town and their process for the types of businesses that are coming into our area, because it just seems like there is, for lack of a better word, a proliferation of garages, gas stations, convenience stores, and like the discussion earlier, and I hear the pain of the residents, from Freeport, and again, dealing with veterans who are homeless and fighting homelessness and things of that nature. And we do have crises of magnitudes here. And it's not that I'm saying I'm against this, but my question, again, pertains to how we're looking at where we're putting our emphasis. And so I think this is more of a charge to our planning and economic development and community outreach to focus on these things a little more stringently, because we really do need to start looking at the residents and their issues. And because knowing how the lengths of these meetings can possibly be, we need to maybe restructure some things so that residents and the issues and their pain and their voices can be heard, and then maybe we might get a better attendance, at these types of activities. So I'm just hoping that we're kind of looking at that, and as pertains to this project, I'm hoping that we look at it again from a public safety standpoint and from a waste removal. Again, the garages, convenience stores, and things of that nature put, an undue burden on the sewer and water systems of those representative communities. And I know we're talking about contaminants later. So, let's again try to get ahead of the situation for a change, considering we're living on a dangerous plume. We've got bad water, bad air. We've just got a lot of things that are going on. We're coming into the storm season. So we really need to start looking at where we're actually putting our emphasis and be a little bit more supportive, a little bit more compassionate, because the young lady was standing here to speak, and this is, her first time. Again, we don't want to give people the wrong impression, but she was standing here to speak, And you know, if it was me, I would have sat down and started speaking on the microphone, but she was still trying to be respectful. So, you know, all of you saw her standing here. I know we did. And we were telling her and was saying that she needed to speak. So I'm just saying, let's be cognizant of that. And this, again, when we start looking at these applications for these gas station garages and convenience stores, let's start looking at other things, maybe restaurants, community centers, senior centers. Let's look at what we're turning some of these former VFW halls and American Legion halls into. They're becoming the 7-Elevens and the Bolas, but we still have veterans who have needs here, and let's start to address that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak about this item, the application that we just heard? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I do agree that another parking garage might not be the best because Town of Hempstead does have a request for proposals on how we can utilize current parking spaces that we do have already.
Ma'am, I don't want to interrupt. I just want to make clear for the record, it's not a parking garage.
Or what was it exactly then?
It is a service center for the brand of car Alfa Romeo.
Okay, regardless, it's still,
I know, I'm just making it clear for the record, that's all.
when it comes to the car dealerships, we have enough car dealerships and automobile services on Long Island, and to focus on that, I don't think it's an important thing at the moment without considering, again, the housing crisis that we are facing and other technology that can be implemented to make sure before you just focus on one company, okay, what other car or automotive companies also need help, so that way you're grouping them together and using the technology that we have available to help everyone, to help communities at large, as in regards to that matter. So that's all I had to say, that as far as adding another vehicle maintenance when the transit issue we still have to address. You're saying you want to increase the transit-oriented development. Are you looking at it at a whole, or are you just going to break it down and do company by company by company by company? Like, what is the plan?
Transit-oriented development looks at zoning around train stations. That's what transit-oriented development does. So it generally speaking, it provides zoning incentives for developers to come there and start businesses there, or maybe build housing there. This is just a specific application where the applicant is coming to the town to get our permission to just alter a structure on their property. So that's what's happening right now. So it's not town-owned property where we're deciding to build a garage. It's privately owned property. So it's a little bit different. So they're making a specific application to change and alter the building at their property. That's different. Transit-oriented development is asking us for permission to enact a zoning regulations that will promote growth around train stations.
Okay, well, I'll come back to that when you address for public comment.
And I think it's just important to clarify, and I think we're still here in America where this is private industry, and we support private industry. As long as it's a legitimate business that's following all of our rules and regulations, we should do all that we can to advocate private industry succeed and develop and do all that it can in the town of Hempstead. I welcome your business. I think you have a wonderful business, and it is not the role of the government to dictate what types of businesses come into communities. We have to help the private individual succeed, and I'll continue to do that.
The private individual continue to succeed. I'm a private individual, and I've been trying to submit requests for proposals, but the red tape's up by the government saying that I have to have this number first, I have to apply for this first. Well, because you're a black woman and you're low income, you're not going to qualify for this, you can't qualify for that. So whereas I'm trying to work with community members and rebuild my community, I'm hitting red tape after red tape by the government because you're low income and the banks are not going to help you help your private business. So how can you help me today, since you said you want to help private businesses?
Okay, so there's a couple things we have to peel away the layers. First, I agree with you that I think we do need to cut down government regulations, the burden of government, the role of it, that it's happening in our lives. So I'm happy to meet with you. I'm not sure what business you have, what RFPs you've responded to. I can assure you that there's not a single person in the town of Hempstead who's discriminating you based on your race.
I can assure you the reason why I didn't want to speak before was because when I do come to the microphone in the courtrooms or government buildings, the first thing that happens to me is the police are called because, well, you're speaking out of line. So that's the only reason why.
Okay, I don't know what's happened to you in the past. Here in the town of Hempstead, no one would treat you like that. But I'm more than happy, if Marcus in my office, we're happy to sit down with you. I don't know what type of business you have, whatever it is, and if you've responded to an RFP, we'll look into it. But as far as these gentlemen who have a good business, everything I know, we as a government should not be dictating what type of business comes in. As long as it's a legitimate business, it's our job to help local small businesses grow.
Okay, I do not have any other slips on this public hearing. Actually, first we have to vote on item 35.
Okay, I move we adopt item 35.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Yes?
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Esposito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Councilwoman King Sweeney? Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Okay, and now on public hearing number 7.
I move we adopt item 7. All right, I would like to close the public hearing at this point. And I move we adopt item 7.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman? Councilman Diaz-Esposito? Councilman Dunn? Senior Councilwoman Gooseby? Councilwoman King Sweeney? Councilman Muscarella?
Aye. I declare this hearing closed and petition granted.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Madam Clerk, will you please call the next public hearing?
Application of K&R 630 Woodfield LLC for a special exception public garage to construct a one-story masonry addition to the existing building, which will serve as additional garage space for vehicle repairs and maintenance operations located in West Hempstead.
Good morning,
Good morning.
Supervisor Gillen, members of the board. My name is William Benesso. I'm a partner with the law firm of Fratelli Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York. Here on behalf of the applicant, K&R 630 Woodfield LLC. Seated behind me to my left are Mr. Kumar Thangavidal and his architect, Mr. Anthony LaFaso. Mr. Thangavidal is the principal of the ownership entity. We're here today seeking permission via a special exception to redevelop and slightly enlarge an existing public garage situated at the premises in West Hempstead. It is a facility that's been there since 1951 in a variety of iterations. My client purchased it about 3 years ago, and since purchasing it, filed applications to make these modifications and to improve the site. It is a property that maintains a one-story masonry building on it that has 3 service bays for automotive maintenance and servicing. Each one has a lift. He is proposing to build an addition to that building, approximately 45 by 28 feet in size, which will house 2 additional bays, one with a lift, the other just a regular work bay. He presently employs 4 employees, 2 full-time mechanics, a full-time clerical person, and a part-time clerical person. The addition that he proposes to build will add 1 full-time mechanic and 1 part-time mechanic to the operation. Current hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Sunday closed. Those hours will be maintained, no changes to those. This is very much a local community service and repair shop, providing service and repair and maintenance services to the local patrons. The site does not do any automotive body work, no painting, no frame straightening, no collision work of any kind. It's really simply basic repairs, basic service and maintenance work. Now, the site will also, or the application also entails the redevelopment of the site. Presently, the site is nothing but pavement. There's no striping. There are no delineated parking spaces. This will result in a redevelopment of the site. It'll clear away an existing storage unit that's on the property. It will also stripe the property, and in doing so, it will provide a total of 12 parking spaces. 8 are required by the use and the new addition, so it will actually provide an additional 4 spaces, albeit those 4 spaces will be in the front yard setback. We're asking for permission to do that as well. But by providing the additional parking spaces, we feel that it would alleviate any potential parking congestion on the property. So, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Did you clean all of this up? Has this been cleaned up?
Some of it has been cleaned up, Councilwoman Gooseby. It will be completely cleaned up. I was provided with a copy of the inspection report and the items listed as non-compliant. I've had a very frank conversation with my client about what needs to be done there. He's fully aware of that and is fully prepared to completely bring the property into compliance. Much of what needs to be done will be the result of or will be removed as a result of the redevelopment. There, as indicated, I know that there's a storage container there. I know that there are numerous unregistered vehicles, tires, and auto parts. The vehicles have been removed. The tires, I believe, have been removed, but everything will be removed in conjunction with the redevelopment of the property. He's aware of that. I'll make sure of it.
So you'll make sure all the outstanding violations are cleaned up? I'm sorry, Councilwoman.
Because first of all, tires are hazards. If you have them outside and it rains and they get water, and what happens?
Understood. Totally understood, Council.
I don't know why you would bring this here without it. I'm glad you're not directly in my district.
Understood. The site has been in existence, like I said, for a long time. Mr. Thangavidal took it over in 2016. That's no reason why it shouldn't be maintained in pristine condition, and it needs to be done so. He's aware of that. He will bring it into compliance. That includes new landscape beds, new striping, new paving. It'll be a much more attractive site. It'll be a much more efficient site in terms of how it operates with the parking, the stripe parking, and the use of the property. The ability to add the addition will do away with the need for the storage container, so all of those things will go away.
Councilor, I did not see the site plan. Was the site plan submitted with this?
Certainly.
Okay. Do you have it, Senior Councilwoman?
What I have here is a booklet with,
Yeah.
with all this stuff.
But I didn't see the site plan.
I haven't seen this.
I want to echo what Senior Councilman Gooseby said. Senior Councilman Gooseby, myself, and Councilman Muscarello, we all share parts of West Hempstead and surrounding areas. I want to echo what she said. First of all, are you going to clean up that facade at all when you do the new construction?
Yes.
It's, no offense, might maybe somebody else's taste, but it looks a little gaudy. If they could clean it up, and
yes,
I don't know if you're married to the bright red and yellow, but if it could be something a little muted for the community when you do the work, it would look a lot nicer. And then what Senior Councilwoman Gooseby was talking about is, where is the, okay, we have it here now. Okay, we finally have it. So we would like to see a little more enhancement of the landscaping. And also, would your client be willing to covenant to keep all of the landscaping and shrubbery in good, healthy condition?
Absolutely. Okay. The site plan does show, right now there are no planters, no landscaping anywhere.
Right.
The site plan does show 4 planters. So we can, in fact, if the board wishes, as indicated, we have 4 extra parking spaces. We may be able to expand some of those planters to do away with 1 or 2 of the additional extra parking spaces and provide more landscaping. And certainly anything that was installed our restrictive covenants that the board will require will indicate that the landscaping must be maintained, it must be irrigated, it must be kept in good condition, and any dead or dying plantings would have to be removed and replaced with similar plantings of the same maturity, same species, and the like. We would accept all of that.
That's very helpful. Thank you, Councilor.
Yes, sir. Other than that, Nassau County Planning Commission has recommended a local determination. Again, as much as there are conditions on the property that need to be addressed, this is the first step towards addressing that. It will certainly improve the appearance of the site. The landscaping will certainly make it more aesthetically pleasing, and the operation will run much better once there's striping and parking. And at the same time, it allows my client to advance and expand his business so that he can continue to provide a successful opportunity to the community. It'll also add 2 additional jobs.
Councilor,
Yes, sir.
would you be willing to represent at this time that you would dedicate at least 1 parking space to additional landscaping? You want to talk to your client
Absolutely.
about that?
No, he's fine with that.
Okay. So that'll be a condition of the application.
Understood.
Councilor, since Councilman Dunn is not here, I'll ask that, can you make sure there's a flagpole at this property?
I neglected to say that. He does presently fly a flag, but it's kind of attached to an existing sign. That's not going to be the case. He's going to actually be able to put an actual flagpole in the planter to be located on the north end of the property.
Thank you. You come here enough. I think you should just always put that in there.
I should have said it. It was in my notes.
Thank you.
That's our direct presentation.
Anyone here want to speak?
I don't have any slips on this public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to be heard? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Well, should I do it? All right. I'm going to be good this time because you have come to us, and I always respect you, and anything that we've asked you to do, you have made sure that it was done. And you know how I am when it comes to looking good and being clean and definitely getting rid of tires. I cannot take those. Okay, you cannot have those out so that they get wet. If you're going to do everything that you said and we'll have someone come and check you out, then I would go ahead on and close the hearing and grant the application.
On the same conditions set forth by Senior Councilman Gooseby, I second that.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen?
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman?
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Pasito? Aye. Councilman Dunn? Aye. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby?
Aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney? Councilman Muscarella?
Aye.
Thank you very much. And Councilwoman Gooseby, Councilman Blakeman, you can rest assured that everything will be taken care of as promised.
Okay. Thank you. I want it to be a showplace so that the neighbors can be happy.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you will please call the administrative calendar.
Yes, there are items 9 through 57 on the administrative calendar.
Would any of the council members like to sever any of the items on the administrative calendar? No, so may I have a motion on the administrative calendar?
I move the administrative calendar in its entirety, with the exception of item 35 and 49.
Second.
Okay, first we have Felix Picacci.
Felix Picacci. I'd like to point out that this board voted last week or last meeting that asking for a person's address is an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. So I ask, since that was the determination even by the town's ethics council that had no response, that you not ask for people's address. I want to speak on item number 50.
We can ask, but it would be up to them whether they want to disclose that. But we like to know where people live. It gives a little more insight.
I'd like to speak on number 50, the various offices and positions. in particular the leave of absences. When I first asked about that, why weren't they put on the calendar, I was told by the town attorney that it was a HIPAA regulation. Then I researched that and I found that wasn't true, so I foiled it and I found out that it was an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy, but no explanation was given as to why knowing somebody is taking a leave of absence is an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. So I appealed the decision, and it's too long to read in 3 minutes, but the gist of it is likely to result in at least personal hardship to the subject party or parties, regardless of the reason for the leave of absence, and importantly is not relevant to the work of the town. I disagree, to say the least. When I went to file an inquiry with the compliance officer that we recently hired, he did not respond for many days, and I found out that immediately after he was hired, he took a leave of absence. So, so I had foiled information regarding his timesheets, and it turns out he does not keep timesheets. So the problem with the leave of absence issue is that there could be illegal absences, and the management here may tolerate that, and the public will have no way of knowing that. So there's no public feedback. And to say that it's not related to the work is untrue, because if people are taking leave of absences, it may add to the overtime costs within the town. So it's definitely a concern for residents and the financial.
Mr. Percacci, unless the Commissioner of Human Resources can correct me if I'm wrong, but people take leaves of absences for personal sick reasons. I can't possibly fathom why you need to know why someone is sick, what's going on in someone's personal life.
Okay, that's the second time I was interrupted.
Well, you've made all these allegations against us. We have all these bad motives. We're trying to shield this information from the public. You have people living normal lives who are undergoing some sort of health issue, and you don't need to know about it.
Once again, I even indicated I don't need to know the reason for the leave of absence, just the fact that they are taking a leave of absence.
Should be sufficient for you.
The fourth time I was interrupted illegally. Well, this made the paper. East South Manor school chief placed on leave. So apparently his rights have been violated, and there's been many instances in which different officials have been put on leaves of absences for different reasons that are made to the available to the public. I am not asking for the reason for the leave of absence, just the fact that they are. And my school district, by the way, you let other people speak for 45 seconds over. My school district does rule and vote on leaves of absences and makes the name, and not the reason, but the fact that a person is taking a leave of absence.
So to be clear, just Mr. Percacci, you think that we should identify who's taking leave, but not the reason?
That's fine.
That's what you're suggesting?
That's fine.
Thank you. Valerie Lamp.
Valerie Lamp, Town of Hempstead. I forgot what number it is. The Whistleblowing Act?
Yes, we're calling for a public hearing.
Right. I wanted to ask regarding that whistleblower proposal, is it going to be retroactive?
I don't understand what your question is.
Is it going to be retroactive for an employee?
Mr. Ra?
If I can, and there's currently in the state of New York a whistleblower statute.
Right.
So I would refer you to that, number one. Number two, no, it will not be retroactive. But it repeats substantially all of the, it goes further than, but it repeats all of the protections that are in place right now with the state of New York. State of New York applies to all of the municipalities.
Yes, right. I get that. That said, I was just wondering if there's any kind of a statute of limitations, or so it's not going to be retroactive, but if there was an employee of the town of Hempstead who had a complaint and felt that there was retribution regarding the status of their employment, or whether or not they received a demotion or any kind of vendetta, are they able to file a complaint from something that transpired, say, a year ago?
Mr. Ra, I think what you were saying is employees always had whistleblower protection under New York state law. What we're doing is codifying state law and maybe enhancing it in the town of Hempstead to protect
So if
our
something
employees.
if something happened a year ago, would an employee be able to make a complaint, file a grievance now?
I think that would require a legal opinion, which I will not be giving, and the town attorney should not be providing legal opinions.
The answer is yes, because the state law would apply.
Okay. Thank you very much. The other question I had was, so Councilman D'Esposito, thank you very much. At the last meeting, when you instituted a code of ethics that would prohibit an elected official from, I guess, without using words that might put me on a witness stand, reaching out to someone's employer, that of a vendor for the town of Hempstead, and causing them strife, fear of job loss, loss of income, etc. My question is, who's going to protect the actual private citizens? Is there any whistleblower protection for the private citizens who, for example, I have a colleague of mine who shall remain nameless, who's very fearful of coming forward. She wants to talk about her experience at the animal shelter, and also something that she witnessed regarding an animal that she wanted to adopt. She witnessed firsthand abuse. And she's petrified of coming forward because she owns a business within the town of Hempstead, and she's afraid of retribution. Who's going to protect the private citizens? Is there anything that can be done so that if someone has important information, they want to report something that is unethical behavior, and it should concern all of us, that they will not have to fear for their loss of business, income, or even personal attacks, cyberbullying, etc.?
We will have a board of ethics under our new ethics law. Mita Meride.
Mita Meride, Baldwin resident. I think I numbered my things. Number 23, just wanted to know, it says an increase in the base cap of the contract. Okay, what does that mean and why? Just want to get all my things out here because the clock is a-ticking. And 36, just I need the specifics with regard to that particular SECRA. And 39, it says authorizing settlement of claims. I'm not interested per se in the actual names, but I'm just trying to keep a running total of how much we're paying out in settlements over the course of the year, because it.
So for 23, we had our contractor is doing additional work that was not anticipated in terms of the Baldwin redevelopment and the overlay zone. They're doing additional SECRA-related work, so we're just increasing the amount of their contract. That's what 23 is. With respect to...
And how much is that increase?
$50,000.
Okay, so that brings their total to how much to date?
It's not to exceed $377,000.
For this particular aspect of it?
Yes.
Okay.
Number 36 you asked about?
Yes.
36 is a public garage on Babylon Turnpike in Rockville Center, correct?
That's Roosevelt.
Roseville, I'm sorry, Roseville.
Okay, 105 Babylon. Okay, I'm telling you, the number of garages are just going up, and we wonder why our water is so contaminated. 39.
39 is two items. One is an $8,800 settlement for property damage on a car accident, and the other one is a settlement for $38,700 where there was personal injury in a car accident.
Okay, 38 for the car accident. Okay, cool. So overall, I think with regard to just these issues, I've asked before with regard to the contracts that are being awarded, if we're going to be on some kind of track with regard to diversity, if we could start listing if it is an MWBE component. And one of the other avenues that I think we also fail to realize, because again, people have the wrong connotation as it pertains to minority business. They have this assumption that everybody's small and working out of their closet. I mean, there are some minority business owners that are billionaires, you know, Bob Johnson, Oprah Winfrey. But, you know, we might have some locally if we expanded our horizons a little more instead of saying, well, we can't find anyone. If we partnered, we're putting out, I believe the number was in the millions as far as contracts. There are municipalities that put some type of, whether it's legal, how you do it, or indirectly, the clauses with their prime contractors to put the onus on them with their secondary outreach, subcontracting, however you do it. If you're going to say, I'm giving you $20 million of our taxpayer dollars, we have some expectation of you doing the outreach to do some inclusion, some kind of process, paid apprenticeship, not training that someone has to take time out to do. Then you would find that the listing would grow a lot deeper as far as the diversity pool as well as the workforce. This is May. We can start doing something a little differently for the summertime as far as the outreach. And I would love to see a study to see how many gas stations, garages, and maintenance facilities are in the northernmost communities that are not as dense in the population of minorities, because there are quite a few in the communities of color. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meriday. Mary Ellen Cray.
Good afternoon, Mary Ellen Cray, Uniondale. On item number 14, are there specific parks planned for that, or are they for all the parks?
Commissioner, are you here? Commissioner Lino?
Good afternoon, Supervisor.
Good afternoon.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. I think I have something else on. No, it's a different, on number 18. Is that Commercial Avenue, those wells 5 and 6, Uniondale water wells?
Thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning, Madam Supervisor, Town Board. That's the well on Oak Street, which is just south of Commercial Avenue, yes.
Okay. The groundwater storage tanks, where are they located, please?
One is in the Bowling Green Water District, and one is in the Lido Point Lookout Water District. Those are the Water Department tanks. There's also a tank at the Lido Beach Golf Course and one at the Merritt Golf Course.
I see, so none in Uniondale. And 29, the street lighting, where is that located? Or is it throughout the town?
It's various streets throughout the town.
Okay, varies. And I'm sorry, there is one more question about the water. the East Meadow well number 1, is that the one that's located in Uniondale?
Well, one is located at Prospect Avenue.
Oh, Prospect, okay. Thank you. I think that's it on the calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cray. I do not have any other slips on the administrative calendar. Is there anyone else who'd like to be heard just on the administrative calendar?
Good morning. Emmy Funderburg Ivy, 139 East Clinton Avenue, Roosevelt.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Oh, sorry, afternoon. Sorry. I'm 36, and then please excuse my ignorance. Can you please be a little bit more specific in nature, exactly what's going on with that particular property?
Mr. Rao, you want to explain?
This is an application to have a public garage at a location on Babylon Turnpike in Roosevelt. That will come before the town board for a public hearing. This resolution says that the granting of the application would have no adverse significance to the environment. That's what a CEQA neg deck is, no adverse effect to the environment.
All right, but it will be a public hearing on this particular?
There will be a public hearing on whether or not to grant the use. This has to come before that.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who wants to be heard on the administrative calendar?
Sorry. Sorry, I'm not so familiar with this, but so the administrative calendar is anything from 9?
9 to 57.
Okay, yes, I'm sorry. My name is Quintina Towner Hempstead, Quintina Tenney Towner Hempstead. So for number 10, authorize a special assessment for professional services rendered in regard to unsafe in-ground pool. Number 10, for the unsafe one-family dwellings in Roosevelt. Could you please explain what this is about?
So, Commissioner, you can jump in if we need to. Sometimes when we have unsafe structures, the town has to go in and fix them or board them up. And so what we do is we do the work, but then we put it on the rolls. Is that an accurate description?
Okay, so my thing is, but we have plenty of those around Hempstead, Roosevelt, Freeport. I guess what was the April 25th paper, Newsday, Long Island paper, where it was $215,000 that was, I guess, approved for the study of 547 zombie houses. I guess this would be considered a zombie house. And foreclosed property, the unsafe buildings, no?
I can't speak to each house. I don't.
Okay.
Generally, I think one was a swimming pool. Commissioner, do you want to jump in?
This is just regarding one house? Just one house? Okay. All right, no, I just thought it was more than one home here. All right, but, all right, so I guess I'll just.
Item 10 is actually multiple homes.
Yes, there's 5 homes that are part of this resolution. There's only one in Roosevelt, 69 Pleasant Avenue. And basically, this was for the engineering fees. We have an outside engineering consultant that comes out and prepares a report for the town board.
Okay, so it's just about the I guess, assessment fees given to, I guess, the engineer that's coming in and, I guess, checking to see if it's safe, unsafe.
So you want to report some unsafe homes?
No, I don't, but I would like to see done. Please, sure.
If it's a home and you think it's unsafe, could it be repaired for somebody to live in? Is that what?
Thank you, Ms. Goolsby.
Right,
That's exactly what I'm
mean,
saying.
So you can explain that to her.
I'm sorry, so what specifically?
What she means?
With the housing crisis that we have, I don't understand why we haven't been declared an emergency when it comes to housing, declared an emergency, the town of Hempstead, because we have no housing. We have zero housing.
We do.
Even the woman here who was speaking regarding she would like to apply for Section 8. don't even bother, because I have a Section 8 voucher. It's useless. It's useless. There's no housing available. So I would like to see these houses, instead of just being boarded up in my community, because like other communities, I guess you guys don't go for houses just to be boarded up. I would like to actually see something being done. Like I know we have maybe the town has a construction company or construction services that you use. Why can't you guys go in and just renovate? Some of the homes are owned by the town, correct? No. They're not taken over by the town when they're...
These homes that are subject to this are not owned by the town.
Okay,
But we have been partnering sometimes with Habitat for Humanity to try to cooperate with them as they rebuild homes.
Okay, so, and also, can I say this? We're going...
I know Habitat Humanity has helped us with a lot of homes, but right now they have 265 applicants and no homes. Okay?
I spoke with them. Yes, I do, and it's a waiting list for that as well. I don't know. I would just like, I used to do foreclosure processing, and I know Bank of America is like one of the biggest banks that like foreclose across America. But I would like to see if there's any kind of way that we can work with these foreclosed properties. Is there any kind of way that somehow, I don't know who, housing, the town, or whatever, to work with, maybe instead of just having them sit here, you can work with us, because like I said, I have a Section 8 voucher. There's other women out here with vouchers and things, or even just working families to get some kind of affordable housing, work with the banks. They're just sitting there, and they've been sitting there years.
We're trying to look at that right now. We're looking at that right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
And ma'am, if I may, ma'am, I don't mean to interrupt, but just so you realize, not every time that there's homes like this on the calendar does it mean that they are in foreclosure. For instance, the building department, if we have in your community, let's say the house that you live next door to goes on fire, the building department will come out and sometimes have to secure the building. So that would be something that would be on here. There could be a pool in a backyard of a house that's not foreclosed, but it needs to be made safe so we can say, listen, we made this parcel safe. So it's not always foreclosures.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah,
that.
just
I do understand that you do have to make it, safe for the people. But I'm just, like I see so many of the houses, so you don't know what is, of course, if I see a house that's been burned down, then of course there's a fire or whatever, it needs to be made safe for the public. But I'm just saying the homes that are just standing there, just boarded, like right in Brown Street in Hempstead, 2 beautiful homes, just boarded up, just sitting there,
Because people can't afford to pay the taxes. And
Yeah,
when
that's
they
true.
can't afford to pay
That's
the
true.
taxes, then the bank takes them over, or whatever.
Yeah.
But we have no right to them, until it's declared
No, I'm
by the
just-
bank and so forth. We can't touch those. I live in a village, that's the village. They can't touch them.
I understand, Ms. Wilsey, I understand, but I'm just saying if we could try, if it's somebody reaching out to like the banks or trying to work something out. We're in a housing emergency. We're in a housing crisis. It's like no stone should be unturned. I mean, like I said, I've been out in the community. I've been talking to these women. I have women crying to me every day. And I myself, I'm looking for housing. You know how many people living in unsafe, illegal housing. I just went up on Terrace Avenue. I have a woman and 3 children, 1-bedroom apartment. It's disgusting. We are.
As we can here within the town. Yes, we are, honey. I'm telling you, I know. All right? But some of the places that are left for people with Section 8 to live in is not fit to live in. Okay? That's the main problem. A lot of people, they rent them out, and it's really sad to see what people have to live in. But it's because folks own those. A lot of people are owning those. We don't own it. We can't take it away from an owner, honey.
Yeah. I understand, but I'm just saying it's like, I may ask the craziest question, but it still needs to be asked and understood, because we are trying desperately to understand why our cries for housing are falling, it seems to be on deaf ears.
It's not.
And
You just don't have it.
yeah, it's just like, are you working with like a HUD or,
Okay.
Only one at a
No,
time.
no, one,
We can't
I'm sorry,
do
you have to,
one at a time.
okay. All right, thank you. Yes, we can have, this is all appropriate for public comment, but are you talking about administrative calendar?
No. Wait.
All right, ma'am, thank you for your comments. Right now, we're trying to close the administrative calendar.
I just have this one thing to say. I just want to say one thing, ma'am. One thing real quick. I know you're twice my age, and my mother taught me to respect people. But let me just say this one thing. Thank you. Now, especially about this man here, he said he want to build a parking lot in Roosevelt. In Babylon Turnpike. I lived over in that area. My name is Gwendolyn Marie Walker, once again. I live on 12 Hope Place. Now, I saw a woman who may be probably Indian descent or whatever in my area this morning picking up bottles because she don't have a place to live. Now, instead of building for the private owner, building a parking lot, why not take that area and build a home?
But you have to talk to the person who owns that.
I want to talk to him
property.
Please give me his number and address, and I will be at his doorstep every morning. Have a good day.
And I'm sorry, I know my time's over, but I just want to say thank you again to Ms. Goolsby and Paulette from your office. Thank you, Ms. Jillian, and Ms. Sinclair, Rebecca Sinclair from your office. And thank you, Ms. Sweeney, from Mr. Lampkin in your office as well.
Now, we must do this. We must, no, we have to finish this. But honey, it's the same thing, but we have to do this. We have to finish this as business. When we finish with this, you can talk.
The issue's still going to be there whether or not you close it. Because you close it doesn't mean the issue's going to go away. The issue's going to remain. So why not just take that time, which is what I'm saying. Everybody just wants the money, but think about it from a teacher's perspective, which is what I am. When you're doing a project with your students, you want to spend time planning. Planning, not just close it, go get the money, and let's do it. No, you have to plan it and evaluate it. So when it comes to number 10 about the swimming pools,
Someone to bring you out, take you away from there if you don't.
this is what I'm talking about. Call the police. Thank you. Close your meeting.
Okay, that's it.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll on items 9 through 57 with the exception of 35 and 49?
We've said that already. We just got a second.
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman. Aye. Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
I'm voting aye on the calendar on all. I also want to mention, for full disclosure, on item number 9, I am on the board of the Jimmy Gabelli Foundation. It is a nonprofit organization that's applying for a 5K parade permit. And also, I vote no on 37. So I vote aye on all with the exception of 37, to which I vote no.
Councilman Dunn. Aye on all. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby. Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Madam Clerk?
Supervisor Gillen.
Aye.
Councilman Blakeman.
Aye.
Councilman Diaz-Esposito.
Aye.
Councilman Dunn. Senior Councilwoman Gooseby.
What am I doing? Aye. I guess I'm aye.
Councilwoman King Sweeney. Councilman Muscarella.
Aye.
All right, I move that we have a lunch break for 15 minutes. Who's second? Who's second? Second.
Second.
Okay. All right, let's get out of
To
here.
vote on it?
Yeah, we do. We need to vote.
Madam Clerk?
We got to vote.
Meeting's over. I don't think we have to.